Welcome to the final meeting of the 90-day Breakthrough Challenge. This is essentially a bonus meeting because it's meeting number 13. And that's because this challenge, unlike the others, started sometime midweek. Therefore, we ended up with one extra weekend, which is a good thing. We are coming to the end of one of the most memorable challenges in my mind, and for many reasons. But I'm particularly excited about what we have covered, essentially in the month of April. And I wanted to remind you what our intention was from the beginning. We started the challenge with these 7 pillars. And if you look at how each of the sessions we have had during the 90-day Breakthrough Challenge has run, you will see that we intentionally had each of these pillars coming over and over and over during the 90-day Breakthrough Challenge. Setting clear intentions. If you participated in the daily reset, that was automatically taken care of, automatically. And then with regard to how clear, how compelling, how matured your goals were, that is always going to be a journey. You begin somewhere, you keep reiterating, you keep growing them. I made it my goal to keep tackling the main subjects, the core subjects, from different perspectives. We started working on beliefs during the month of March, but I did not label those sessions as beliefs. So that when we come to April and take a different perspective, we are coming at the subject in such a way that it helps you to begin to raise the quality of your goals. You begin to approach your goals in a practical way, such that each single day you show up is not a separate piece by itself, but it's part of the larger whole to help you begin really building a foundation that you can carry on, even if all you get from the House of Mastery is this 90-day Breakthrough Challenge. And once you have goals, of course, having elevated action plans. And elevated action plans, these are action plans that require you to do things that you ordinarily wouldn't do. Because if you end up acting the same way you would have acted had you not been part of the 90-day Breakthrough Challenge, it means you probably haven't gotten as much value out of the 90-day Breakthrough Challenge. And implement each of these strategically. The main goal of the 90-day Breakthrough Challenge is to bring you to a point of creating a rhythm in your life that affects almost everything else. Ideally, the rhythm should be narrowed and built around one thing, but ends up affecting everything else. So that as you set intentions, you create alignment. The alignment becomes most powerful in that one area you're working in, but none of the other areas in your life is skip, because that's the nature of intention. It is like electricity. When there's electricity in the house, it goes to every room, goes to every socket, goes to every bulb. Intention is like electricity. It is power. That's why we say intentionality gives you the power. So that power comes in and goes everywhere. So that when you have action plans, if they are truly powered by intentionality, they are automatically elevated. They automatically require you to act in ways you wouldn't act without being part of a process like this one. You implement strategically, of course, track your progress, celebrate your progress, and calibrate what needs to be calibrated. Number 6 is the one single factor that leads to people's failure. We don't fail because we don't have resources. We don't fail because we don't have time. We don't have energy. We don't have attention. We don't fail because we don't have enough education. We don't fail because we live in the wrong country or we don't have the right personality. We fail because we have no accountability. We try to lead ourselves by ourselves, and yet one of the things we do really well with ourselves is lying to ourselves. There's nobody that you can BS as effectively as you BS yourself. So accountability, which would probably be one of those ingredients of the 90-day Breakthrough Challenge that can almost get on your face, because I am here all the time. Send your reflections, do your evaluate the meeting, and wanting you to react to this post, but that's meant to make sure that you are actually present, that you are responding, that you have some level of accountability, not just to yourself, but you also have a responsibility to the other members in the team. And of course, reflecting regularly. At the end of the day, each of these pillars have to operate in my life as an individual and in your life as an individual. And unfortunately, these pillars end up acting and being present and implemented effectively in our employer's agenda. If you are part of a church, for example, and you are active, all these pillars will be implemented there. If you have a job, they will be implemented there. If you have a contract that you are servicing, maybe you're consulting with a client, each of these will be implemented there. We only draw the line subconsciously when it comes to ourselves. We help our companies, our employers, draw beautiful mission statements. We set action plans, and we set goals and elevated targets. And then we come home and we lie on the couch and get popcorn or ice cream, and we live through that evening until the next day. Such that in our own life, even if we are part of the teams that create some of the most beautiful visions, we don't implement this. But now that you have them, now that you have these pillars, it becomes your responsibility to figure out how to utilize this in your personal life to actually make them part of your day to day. In the month of April, which is the last month of the Breakthrough Challenge, our focus was creating room, creating space, opening the paths, opening the portals to allow for transformation. Now, you may not have seen that outline exactly as it is, but that was the goal. And I believe if you can tell the objectives later, after you've gone through a session and you can tell, oh, that is what we were doing, then it means you probably have gotten the value from that session. Clearing clutter, we were preparing all along, especially through the month of March, to clear clutter, to point out mindsets. And one of the most troublesome mindsets you have to get out of your life totally is, I will do my best, or I am doing my best. Of course, I will try, it doesn't even need to feature. I will do my best. That is the biggest trap across the world, and it's most common among high performers. Because high performers know that even if they make an effort last minute, they are going to achieve more than other people around them anyway. Even if you don't prepare for that meeting, you will stand up and say, this issue, we need to look at implementation, and we look at collaboration and intersectionality. You find big words just because you have the big words, and it looks like you have something. Doing, quote unquote, your best. Your best is often predicated on what happened yesterday. It's not based on where you are going. I read a quote earlier this week, I think it's from Dr. Benjamin Sylvan's book, that the only way to make your present better is to make your future bigger. The only way to make now better, in other words, to make now better than yesterday, no matter how beautiful yesterday was, is to make the future bigger. If I'm inviting you to a wedding of one of my cousins, there is one way that you will prepare. But if I'm inviting you to a wedding in Chicago for one of Obama's daughters, you will probably prepare differently. That's because I have presented two different futures. The wedding is in October. It's my cousin James, and he's getting married in October. So prepare for that wedding. Or it is Malia Obama's wedding. You will prepare very differently because these are two different futures. The best way, the most powerful way for you to make your present, your now, better. To create necessity for now to be more expanded, for now to be deeper, for now to be more intentional, is to make the future bigger. We wanted to clear clutter, enhance awareness, nurture resilience, and create space for integration and reflection. If you have been part of the daily reset every day this month, you have really, really, really reflected. Probably you reflected more than you've ever reflected any other time in your life. And that was the goal, to create space for transformation, because this is not the end. This is just the beginning. The 90-day Breakthrough Challenge role was to lay a foundation for you, to prepare you for where you are going. for who you want to become, for who you must become. That was the goal of the 90-day breakthrough challenge. So I do not know where you are today, but this is what I know, that if you look through everything you've learned during the 90-day breakthrough challenge, and of course spend time, go back to the YouTube channel and watch sessions that you might have missed, that you have sufficient foundation to set and pursue goals in whatever direction that you need. The only test you have to meet is to bring elements that you resonate most with in this content down into your day-to-day life. To take some of those gems that you documented in your notes and bring them with you in your day-to-day life so that they begin to practically influence your behavior, to go beyond knowledge to action. Because until you act on it, it is not real. Until you act on it, it's not real. And until you reflect on it, you don't own it. If I tell you something, you do it, I own the instruction. But if I tell you something, you do it, and you reflect on it, you own it. So that is your challenge. Your challenge is, how do you take the best parts of what you learned during the 90-day breakthrough challenge? Whether you heard it from me or heard it from another participant, or it occurred to you as you were listening, or even later in the course of the day, how do you take those insights and bring them practically into your life so that you act on them? Up to the point you act on them, you still don't own them. They are somebody else's ideas. And after you act on them, you reflect on them. Once you reflect on them, you own. Because you go beyond experience to reflected experience, to distilled experience. That is why the pillars end with reflection. You set intentions. Good intentions are the bricks that pave the way to hell. Good intentions. So at the level of intentions, essentially what you're doing is just expressing some level of desire. And then you establish goals. You go from desire to giving it a timeline and a deadline and a location. You make it specific, measurable, such that somebody can look at it and say, you are going to go to the gym and work out for 30 minutes, 3 times a week at the gym on Ngong Road. So that you go from intention, you make it very specific. And then there is an elevated action plan. How do you intend to work out? I will work out with this kind of workout. I will do burpees, or I will lift weights. The action plan is elevated because it is requiring you to do something specific that you ordinarily wouldn't do. If you ordinarily would just go around and walk, this time around you're deciding, no, I will go and lift weights for 10 minutes, and then I will run on the treadmill at this kind of speed that is slightly beyond what you ordinarily would do. And then you implement strategically, implement with flexibility, implement with adaptability, implement expecting that you'll face obstacles. And then of course you track your progress, and you have an accountability partner or a coach or a mentor. You cannot lead yourself by yourself. And after you've done all this, you don't own any of this. You only own it when you reflect on it. Because now when you reflect on it, it becomes a tangible story. You can tell a story about it that goes beyond the experience, that also goes into what does this mean? What does this say about me? What does this say about my commitment to my goals? Remember, we've spoken about this before, that just showing up by itself is not a proof of commitment. Showing up most of the time is just showing that you are interested in this thing. Commitment is tested when you face obstacles. And the experience of facing obstacles and still showing up creates such beautiful fodder for you to reflect on. So that when you reflect and own what you're doing, you begin to own your wisdom. You begin to own the best parts of you. You begin to bring out parts of you that you ordinarily are not aware of. So that you can reshape your mindset about yourself. And stop seeing yourself as weak, stop seeing yourself as inconsistent, Stop seeing yourself as non-committed, because you can prove to yourself that, hey, we had the desire, which is the intention. We set the goal and we strategized specifically how to make this happen in an elevated manner, and see the progress that we have made. And I was not doing this alone. Even if my friend Lynette was not exercising, at least she held me accountable. And when I thought through this, I realized that I don't like working out in gyms that are crowded. I prefer gyms that are quiet. And the reason is because during my workout, I want to think about my day. I want to listen to music. And what I'm learning about myself is that I need space to just be quiet and to relax. Once you reflect on it, after going through all the pillars, you own it. And the goal for you, as we come to the end of the 90-day breakthrough challenge, how much of the wisdom that we covered in the 90-day breakthrough challenge can you own? How much of it can you own in the next 2 to 3 months? How many of those insights can you carry with you practically, intentionally carry, seeking them, going into your notes and searching for what did we talk about on this particular week, and picking out 3 or 4 ideas and thinking about them and implementing them in your life, so that then they create room for you to reflect. You don't own anything that we have done in the 90-day breakthrough challenge until you apply it and reflect it. When you reflect it, that is admission of wisdom into your life, is via the gate of reflection. Everything has to go through the gate of reflection. If it has not gone through the gate of reflection, it is just knowledge. It is just the mole concept. It is the diodes. It is the Table Mountains, which is just a concept. It's a piece of knowledge that is somewhere out there. When you reflect on it, you own it. It becomes, you almost 10x your awareness, self-awareness in whatever area that you reflect on, especially when you do regular reflection. So that's my challenge to you. May this be the foundation that helps you to begin building on higher ground, and begin building on higher ground intentionally. Begin building on higher ground, knowing that the work we are doing here has the potential to create ripples that go way beyond what you can imagine. I believe in this work with all my heart, and that is why if you've noticed what has happened during the 90-day breakthrough challenge, despite all the obstacles that I came across, there was no stopping. We have to come to the very end of the challenge and close it. And I thought about the breakthrough challenge every single day. I reflected about the challenge in the morning. I reflected about it in the evening. Sometimes when I'm in the car, I would pull out my notebook, which I go around with all the time, and think about the 90-day breakthrough challenge, which has a specific space, separate space where it lives, which is totally separate from the momentum challenge. The momentum challenge content, all the content from the momentum challenge lived in this file. And I keep going back to this file because I know that the next time I do the momentum challenge, it's going to be at a different level. It is time for you to own this content, but not just own it mentally, but you own it because you practice the best ideas, reflect on them, and make it truly part of your life. So that the next time you join any other House of Mastery program, or you go into any other coach's program, you are showing up as version 2.0 of yourself. That brings us to the end of that exposition segment. I would like us to spend a significant amount of time today in the breakthrough breakout rooms. And I would like you to truly interact and share what have been your biggest takeaways from the 90-day breakthrough challenge segments that you participated in actively. What was your most recurrent barrier or obstacle that might have interfered the extent to which you would have taken full advantage of the 90-day breakthrough challenge? Whether or not you were able to navigate that obstacle, or maybe it got in the way, just reflect about those. So it's those 2 questions, the biggest takeaways and It doesn't have to be very extensive. It just needs to be primarily be the things that you actually are using in your life. And the biggest obstacle. Let's start there, and then I will have you guys back